Travis Merle is a grateful human. He loves UFOs and his kids, and something that recently made him smile is graduating from the Partnerships Leader Mastermind cohort. Welcome to the Grateful Human Podcast, Travis.
I am thrilled to be here, Nick. Absolutely thrilled. You might say I'm grateful.
Oh, love it. That's a great word to use. Set the stage. What's the quick proper noun? What's your title? Where do you work? How do we know each other?
Yeah. Job title, technically, Senior Technology Partner Manager. I'm at a wonderful organization called Virtuous, which happens to be how we met. Virtuous is a CRM / marketing engine designated specifically for nonprofits. We do what's called responsive fundraising, which you know all about through Fleece and Thank You. And so that's how we met, and that's how I got into being a grateful human.
Yeah, and we happen to, if you're listening to this, we happen to have on the exact same hat, not coordinated at all. Twinning, big time.
Twinning, big time.
Oddly enough, I am a twin, and
I am a twin.
So there's a whole lot of twin action happening.
A lot of twin stuff going on.
Grateful to be a twin. You've had a cool journey through your career. What are you really grateful for on your journey that's gotten you to where you're sitting today?
I'm grateful for. That's a big question.
Big.
I could say. Can I answer that in two ways?
Please, yeah.
I'm grateful both from an introspective perspective, and as well as those who have helped open doors for me throughout my life journey. I'll expand on that. For myself, like, I'm just grateful because my career path and kind of, you come out of college and I call it like Nick, you know about this, we've talked about it, the paper chaser kind of syndrome. And it's this idea of you just kind of indoctrinated, at least I was, when you're out of school, like, hey, climb the corporate ladder, make that money, just make money, just chase the money. And that's kind of, that was my dogma, more or less. And I hit a rough patch in my career. I was doing a lot of like agency work, marketing agency stuff, kind of jumping around. And I realized I was very unfulfilled. Had, I guess, what you could call a pseudo quarter life crisis. And I decided to take a chance and get into tech. And I took I was just discussing this the other day with a peer in the Partnerships Leaders. It's like a larger mastermind group for partnership folks. And I took a big pay cut and I joined a company called Active Campaign. And everything kind of worked out, right? It's a big decision when you decide to kind of jump lanes in a career, and in doing so, taking a huge, impact to your income, especially at my age, because at that point I think I was 31 or 32, so I wasn't categorically, I guess, from a professional standpoint, I wasn't a spring chicken anymore. So how that kind of gets enveloped in gratitude, like, I was just grateful that circumstances came my way that allowed me to consider an alternative path, and that path which presented, at least in my opinion, a significant amount of risk. I'm a pretty risk averse person by nature. If you see me in Vegas, you won't see me gambling, because I just don't take a lot of risks. But I did so in that manner, and I'm grateful that just what happened in my kind of my professional journey to do that. From a standpoint of those around me, grateful for Active Campaign taking a chance on me, right? And if anybody at Active Campaign in the leadership positions there, or who's since moved on, here's this. Hopefully they already know by now that I'm grateful for them. But took a chance on me, and took a chance on me in getting promoted and kind of moving up the ranks there. I was there for almost 5 years, and ultimately that led to Virtuous. where I am now. Um, and of course, if it wasn't clear, I'm grateful to be here, grateful to be working with you, Nick. And yeah, there's a lot of folks I could just think along the way. I always say, like, if you want to turn the earth, you need friends, right? And if you have those friends, sure as you're born, you should be grateful for them.
Love that. That's a fitting motto for someone who's working in partnerships, right? That's for sure.
That's you nailed it.
Along that journey, I mean, we could never script it, right? As we look back, like we could never script it, but the script is always better than we could have ever imagined. What's a hard lesson that you were really grateful to learn over that journey so far?
It's okay to take a step backwards in order to take 2 or 3 steps forward. Yeah, just kind of younger professionals I've spoken to. Now, God, I make myself sound old saying that, right? But I say the same thing. Especially even if you're a little bit further along in your career, you're looking for the next thing or whatever it is. It's this idea of focus more on the right company, the right cause, the right culture over, the right paycheck or the right job title. Because if you take a chance and you do take, a step back in order to take those steps forward, like those opportunities are going to present themselves. If you believe in yourself, you work hard, and you are passionate about whatever it is you're doing, those doors should open up for you just by their nature. I mean, that ties right back into my story, right? Just in terms of taking some financial impact and taking a chance, right? It literally took a step back in order to move forward, and it worked out for me because it was that's those circumstances. It was a good culture. The company was going places. I could see that, and I just felt like, hey, this is something I can get behind. This is something I can believe in, and I have faith that those opportunities will present themselves, right? The opportunity of the job title you want, the specific job function you want, and of course, the paycheck you want. So that would probably be if you could put that like on a placard, right?
Yep, love it.
It's okay to take a step backwards in order to take 2 steps forward.
I love it. You've already given us like a motto that's a huge part of kind of how you live life. I think you said, if you want to turn the world, you're going to need friends, correct? What is an aspect of your personality that you're really grateful for that you have today?
Ooh, my personality okay. I consider myself pretty authentic. I like to, in the early going, I like to tell people that, like, hey, you might hear a casual swear or something, right? There's no offense intended. It's just I really try to. In fact, maybe trying is the wrong word. When I'm comfortable, I just kind of fall into a pattern, and Travis just kind of comes out, right? And I try to get comfortable very early on, and I think that doing so makes other people comfortable as well. I always like to say, maybe another way to kind of spin that is, I'm always made really comfortable if like I meet somebody for the first time. Okay, like maybe it could be you, could be anybody. And I see right away that this person it could be a Zoom like this, right? Maybe I can see right away they're just covered in tattoos, for example, or they have, rainbow stripes in their hair or something like that. That always makes me feel really comfortable because to me, that tells me that person is very comfortable in their own skin, which is a signal to me that I have no reason why I can't be comfortable in my own skin. Right. So just kind of coming right out and, being me. I'm a little quirky. I definitely like humor, et cetera, et cetera. I just try to get right to that. And I'm grateful for that part of my personality.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how do you use that on a daily or weekly basis throughout the different conversations you have?
Connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's he's a good friend of mine slash I call him a mentor. I'll probably send him this at some point. His name is Corey Snyder. He's a great guy. He actually referred me to Virtuous, but he always used to say that it's especially in partnerships. I think all business, or maybe really any walk of life, but especially in tech partnerships, he always just say it's a business of relationships, right? And there's always mutual, interest, right, to hit a certain goal or objective, right, when you're collaborating with partners across the tech spectrum. But at the end of the day, like, you have to be able to connect with people, right? And if you can't do that, you're not going to get a whole lot done on the business side. And to put a punctuation mark on that idea is, I used to have in my LinkedIn, there's that little tagline below your LinkedIn avatar.
Yeah.
I used to have there in there, mostly business, always human. I took it out eventually just because it got like stoic and old, but I still believe that to be the case. So, and that is kind of how I approach business, is like, at the end of the day, I'm a human being, you're a human being. I always try to make time, like if we're talking shop, to spend, I mean, Nick, you know this as well as anyone, to spend a couple minutes just connecting at a real level. I always like to say too, like, if I hope this never happens, right? We all hope this never happens. But if the world were to go to, what, all we have left is our humanity.
Yeah.
That is the only thing. Like, you could see that the president could be right next to you, and at that point, he's not the president anymore. He's just a human being, no different than you are. So I try to lean into that. I try to bring that kind of attitude into conversation, and by extension into business.
That's awesome. You talked about a relationship during that response. There's way too many to name them all, but what are some of those relationships that you're really grateful for from infancy to today?
Ooh, these are great questions. I'm grateful for, my family, obviously, to hone in on that. When we think about infancy, especially my mother. My mom is a empath through and through. A great way to kind of articulate that is, I remember being a very small kid, and there was you see bugs or whatever and smash them, right? And so I remember there was a bug on the windowsill. It was winter out. I know you're in Detroit,
Yeah.
right? I'm in Chicago. It gets cold, and I was about to smash them, and my mom's like, "No, don't do that. He's just trying to get warm." I'm like, "There's a bug on the windowsill. Are we supposed to smash him?" She's like, "No. This is what you do." And she got the bug, and she grabbed a Kleenex, or tissue, I should say, got the bug in the tissue, and she's like, "Well, he's going to get cold, but we bring him outside. Let's give him a chance," right? And she took me. I was a really little kid. She took me to the mud room, opened up the door, and we let him outside. So I'm grateful for that, because that's kind of like how my mom kind of raised me. Very grateful for my. We both kind of cleared the air and said we're twins. I'm very grateful for my twin brother. Yeah, he can really be a thorn in my side, just as I can be for him. But he's definitely one of the best confidants I have. And then professionally, there's quite a few folks that have really helped open doors for me, give me advice, mentorship. I already mentioned Corey. He taught me a lot, but also just from the standpoint, like I said, I'm at Virtuous because Corey made introductions to people he knows here. Some other folks in the partnerships kind of circles: Jason Yarbrough, Mike Stalker, Chris Lavoie, some former colleagues at Active Campaign. To one degree or another, these are people that have made me a better professional, maybe a better person, really, just by learning from them. I always like to say I'm a sponge. I love
Yeah.
to just like suck up like little things about people that I really think is like their superpower, and I try to like bring it into my own kind of
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote game. Right? There's a guy. His name is Jay Keeles. Great guy. Probably the most authentic, genuine human being you could ever meet, for better or for worse. Like if you don't like him, you know, you could meet him and you decide I don't like him, but like nobody would ever say of Jay Keeles, you're not getting Jay Keeles. Like he brings himself like every single time, and I just love that about him. So yeah, those would probably be the key folks along my journey that have really kind of opened things up for me.
You mentioned mom and brother. If they were watching this and you could give a message of gratitude to them, what would that message sound like for mom and brother?
Um, for my mom, I'm reminded of what's that Abraham Lincoln quote? Everything, I might butcher this quote, but it's famous. It's everything I am and or everything I ought to be, I owe to my darling mother.
Mm.
Um, so that's probably like something that's like what I would say to her. Um, you know, and then my brother, like, you know, I think you probably take it for granted, like maybe you do with your own twin, right? But like you got a partner in crime, like from day one, right? Like all these stage gates in your life, you know, you go through it with them. Like you get your driver's license at the same time, right? You graduate at the same time, like, you know, and all the things, you know, like everything, all the little things. You enter school for the first time, right? Like other kids might be a little scared, but it's like I got my brother there, and I would just tell him, Brett, I don't say it enough, but we've been shoulder to shoulder literally since before being born, right? In the womb. And I'm truly appreciative for you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't say it enough. We tend to take those kinds of relationships, you know, the deep ones that go way back like that. We take them for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm. That's awesome. Powerful stuff, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
You are with an amazing organization called Virtuous, which I'm a raving fan of. What would you say about like the culture of Virtuous as it pertains to gratitude? Something that sticks out to you?
Yeah, that's should have known there'd be good questions here. Um, you know, I think I definitely prescribe to the theory, the management theory that like the fish stinks or smells great from the head down. So I do think that company culture at Virtuous starts with Gabe Cooper, the CEO. Um, I remember interviewing. I interviewed with him. I don't know. It was like, you know, you go through multiple rounds, and at some point I had a conversation with him. I remember he said to me, and I was like, it was like almost like, you know, you're kind of like mentally like ticking a box. I'm like, okay, like this is a good situation. He said to me, um, we have a saying here at Virtuous, and it's that nobody's a big deal, right? And I'm I'm just grateful for that kind of mindset. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we tend to think of, I mean, maybe not even we tend to, we see it all the time, right? Like power corrupts, right? You start a company, it starts, you're doing a lot of the right things, it starts going places. It's easy to kind of just get a little bit of, I mean, pride is an understatement, right? Just a little bit of an ego. It's just like, I just feel like you have to actively resist that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Gabe in particular, like he clearly does that. He's very approachable, and because of that, that kind of attitude permeates across the org. So I think that's the best way to do business. I don't think you should ever be intimidated about going to some, you know, senior leader because they're the senior leader. It's like, yeah, well, going back to what I said about if, you know, the world goes to, you know what, you're still a human being, right? But especially when you're junior and you're just starting out in your career, it's so easy to get intimidated by like somebody with all this experience and the title, et cetera, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera. And so like Virtuous, like outside of the technology, the company culture, it is that way. Like Gabe has created a kind of cultural fabric across the org where nobody is a big deal. And I think that's great. Humility and, you know, being humble are definitely virtues of mine.
That's awesome. Gabe is a great human. He's created an awesome organization
You should get him on this podcast.
Oh yeah, up and coming guest, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get out to Arizona and do that one in person with him and see if we can make that happen.
Maybe wait till summer's over.
Yeah, there we go. Way too hot for me. You at the beginning of this, you mentioned that one of the things you love outside of UFOs, which are wildly interesting, we'll save that for a future conversation, is your kids. Tell us a little bit about your kids, and then tell us, like, if there's like, what do you really hope that your kids know about gratitude as they navigate, growing up?
That is an amazing question. I know I keep saying that, but these are excellent questions. God, honestly, if they're nothing else, if they have no other good qualities, gratitude won't be one of them. I just think it's so important. I just think it's so important to continually recognize the people and things that have contributed to your success, that have made you a better professional, that have made you a better person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So like, I always encourage my kids to say thank you, in fact, I pretty much require it. It's like you're gonna get your hand slapped if you don't say thank you. Like I always, if one of them falls, I should clear the air, by the way. My kids are twins as well. So like when we set the stage that there's a lot of twinning going on, you're a twin, I'm a twin, my kids are twins. So it's twins everywhere. So, and recognizing that kind of dynamic I have with my own brother, I'm trying to foster that with them. I just think once you have the ability to feel the gratitude, it's almost like it changes your perspective on things. There was a movie that came out. This might be a terrible kind of metaphor, but it was a movie that came out, I want to say like 5 years ago, with Amy Adams, called Arrival. And the concept of the movie is, I'm definitely, spoiler alert, I'm going to give everybody a warning, because if you want to see it and haven't seen it yet,
turn it off now.
Yeah, turn it off now.
I have seen it.
Okay, so you've seen it. So the idea with it is this concept of, in philosophical circles, like with linguistics and stuff, this is a theory, but it's this idea that language can shape how you view reality, right? That a lot of how we view the world is actually dictated by our language. It can go deep, right? But like I think there's a case to be made with gratitude, even just from, I'm not a manager now, but from a management theory perspective, like I'm a really big believer in having a moment of gratitude in every meeting. We used to do that in one of my former teams at Active Campaign. Every meeting kicked off with a moment of gratitude, and I loved it. Like I was always the first one to go, and it got to a point where I was like, all right, we're going to start it with a moment of gratitude. Can somebody else start? Not Travis, right? Because there was always somebody to thank. Somebody hooked me up with something. Somebody gave me an idea. It was a tough week. Somebody was a shoulder to cry on, whatever. It's just so important to have the ability, not just say it. Oh, thanks. I'm very grateful for you, but actually feel it. I just think like you're going to be a happier person if you have the ability to really, truly be grateful. And I don't just say that. That's why, you see the hat. I also got the shirt.
Love that.
I'm a big fan of the concept, obviously of you, Nick. And I definitely, I coach my kids. I coach my kids that way. Now they're 3 years old. So as far as retention goes at this point, like we're working on it. But yeah, if nothing else, they're gonna be they will be grateful human beings, humans. They always like to say will contribute in some way to the world.
Yeah,
when they're older. Yep.
Well, every Thursday is the Fleece and Thank You All Team meeting, and the last item on the agenda every week is called Gratitude Attitude, and it always ends with pop around the table, something that you're grateful for today. It's a huge part.
You feel good.
You do.
right? Like
You
when
do.
you shout somebody out, right, and you actually mean it, because man, they just like they hooked
Yeah.
it up. Again, it could be anything.
Yep.
It feels good. Like
It
it
does.
feels good.
It
People
does.
always used to say I was a really good hype man. And you want to know what the trick to being a good hype man is? Gratitude.
Yeah. Be grateful. Yeah. Yep.
That's all. You're grateful for somebody and
Yeah.
what they do. You can crush being a hype man.
The lesson that you kind of talked about for your kids that you hope that they take with them growing up is the core of what we do at Grateful Human, which is this concept that like we live in a world that isn't always fair, just right, easy, in a world that tries to tell you to be so many things and to do so many things. Like in a world where you can be anything, be grateful at the very start. Be grateful, and it's powerful.
I I mean, obviously, if it's not clear by now, like I could not agree more.
We
Seriously,
ask every guest on the show the final thing we always ask them, and we're trying to like figure out the secret sauce and adding up everyone's answer to get to this answer. Like, why is gratitude so powerful?
I'm trying to think of a way to articulate this that doesn't sound overly rosy or kind of status quo. But I mean, I think I'm just gonna kind of lean into the obvious. This is probably a lot of folks probably say this, but gratitude, because it feels so good to dish gratitude out, and it also feels good to know when somebody is grateful for you. It's just positivity, like a feedback loop.
Mm-hmm.
It's a positive feedback loop, right? And because of that, it has the ability to, quite frankly, make the world a better place,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, so for example, like, fleece and thank you, right? Like, just as an example, it could, quite frankly, it could be like any nonprofit that is contributing to the world and trying to make the world a better place. Like, a lot of times, generosity, donors, giving is fueled by a recognition that my circumstances are better than like the cause, the people that are served by this cause from
Mm-hmm.
this nonprofit, right? And I'm very grateful for that, and I want others to experience the ability to be grateful as well, right? Because they get a fleece blanket, they don't have to be cold anymore, they're going to be grateful for that, right? Or at least hopefully they will be. You'll feel good, right? So that would probably be the where I'd kind of stake my flag. It's just that I try to hang out in the positivity zone.
Love
Not
that.
always easy. We all get sucked into the negative space and cynicism and whatnot. But it serves you a lot better to remain optimistic, to remain positive. Things are going to be okay. And if that is the goal, right? The strategy, I might make the argument to get there, is through gratitude, giving
Mhm.
it, receiving it, and spreading it.
Yeah, the consistency there that you talked about is so key. Gratitude is a muscle. Work it out every single day, and you will just be ripped with gratitude.
I'm grateful for you.
Likewise,
I'm grateful for these wicked hats,
love it.
and just meeting you, and forging a friendship, forging a partnership, and I'm grateful to have been invited onto this lovely podcast.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we are grateful that you took the time to be on it today, man, and for all the work you do in the world. And I'm grateful for what's to come in the future. Yeah, thanks for being
Likewise.
here today, man. We appreciate it.
Likewise. Thanks for having me, Nick.
Awesome.